Imagine walking alone through a quiet street in Bangkok. The air is warm, the cicadas are buzzing, and every shopfront has pulled down its shutters. You're relaxed, almost humming to yourself. And then, without thinking, you whistle a little tune into the night. A few seconds later, you notice the silence has changed. Thailand has countless traditions, woven from Buddhism, animist beliefs, and centuries of folklore. Many homes and businesses have a spirit house, a small shrine called Sanla Frapum, where offerings of food, flowers, and incense are placed daily. These are meant to appease local spirits and ancestors, ensuring protection and good fortune. It's common to hear Thai people speak about the spirit world as if it exists alongside our own, in subtle and sometimes mysterious ways. Everyday life in Thailand often carries hidden rules, small actions that mean much more than they seem. Some of these rules are practical, like taking off your shoes before entering a home. Others are more mysterious, warnings that don't explain themselves fully but linger in people's minds. One of the most famous beliefs is that you should never whistle after dark. Ask a Thai elder about it, and they may give you a half smile and say something like, "If you whistle at night, spirits will come to you." They won't tell you exactly what kind of spirits or what they might want. Thus, the unfinished warning feels more mysterious than a clear explanation. Tales about what happens when you whistle at night aren't told for laughs or to entertain children, but as a collective memory to be remembered by families, neighbours, and entire communities. One such story comes from the countryside, where silence at night is thick, broken only by insects and the occasional barking of a dog. In the province of Nakhon Ratchasima, there's a small village tucked between rice paddies and patches of sugarcane. Life there is quiet, almost timeless. The days follow the rhythm of the fields, and the nights belong to the wind and whatever else lingers beyond sight. Marley had grown up there, but had left to study in Bangkok. She was in her early 20s now, returning home after her exams. City life had changed her. She was used to the constant movement of cars, chatter, and bright lights. Back in the village, everything felt too still. On her second night home, she sat on the wooden steps outside her family's house. The warm air clung to her skin, and the only sounds were the cicadas and the occasional bark of a faraway dog. She looked up at the stars, brighter here than in Bangkok, and started humming. Then, without thinking, she let out a whistle, a light, playful tune. She used to whistle with her friends at university. At first, it felt harmless, but as the notes floated into the night, something unusual happened. The sound didn't just fade into the air. It seemed to come back. A faint echo drifted from the direction of the rice fields. It wasn't exact. It was slower, stretched, like a copy that had been altered. Marley froze. She laughed nervously to herself, convincing her mind it was just the sound bouncing off the fields. To test it, she whistled again, this time deliberately. 3 short notes. The answer came back. The same 3 notes, faint but clear. And then, 1 extra note, low and drawn out, one she hadn't made. Her breath caught. The air felt heavier, as though the night itself was listening. She stood and stepped onto the narrow dirt path that led between the paddies. The soft mud clung to her sandals as she walked. Each step seemed to carry her deeper into the dark. The answering whistles followed, always just ahead, guiding her further from the glow of her home. Later, neighbours would say they saw her that night. A lone figure walking slowly into the fields, her head tilted slightly to the side, as if listening to someone speaking softly in her ear. But no one else was there. By dawn, her father found her sitting on the ground at the edge of the paddies. She was staring into the distance, her lips pressed tight, her face drained of colour in the early light. When they called her name, she turned, but her voice was gone. She whispered nothing of what she had seen or heard, only silence. From that day on, Marley never whistled again. Not only Thai people are subject to the spirits. Foreigners who visit the Kingdom of Thailand are also touched by the unseen, sometimes in ways that remind them this world belongs to more than just the living. The rules apply to everyone, whether you believe in them or not. And perhaps nowhere is this more palpable than in Ayutthaya, the former capital of Siam. Its towering ruins and weathered prangs still echo with centuries of devotion and loss. During the day, the temples are alive with tourists, but when night falls, silence drapes over the stones, and those who disturb it may find they are not alone. One such story is about a young man from Denmark travelling with his Thai girlfriend. He thought whistling at night was nothing more than an old superstition. The ruins taught him otherwise. One evening, the young couple visited the old temples after dinner. The man, Lars, a graduate student fascinated by history but skeptical of anything beyond the material world. His girlfriend, Anong, was Thai, born in Bangkok but with family roots in Nakhon Si Thammarat. She respected the old beliefs, though she rarely spoke of them. The ruins were nearly empty as they walked past Wat Mahathat, where the famous Buddha head lies entwined in tree roots. The moon was high, casting pale light across the broken walls. Feeling playful, Lars tilted his head back and began to whistle, his notes sharp and carefree, echoing unnaturally through the hollow courtyards. Anong froze, her breath catching in her throat. "Don't," she said softly. He laughed. "It's just whistling. Look, it echoes perfectly." He whistled again, louder this time, the sound bouncing across the stones. "See? Nothing happens." But before she could reply, something shifted in the air. The echo came back, not quite right, slower, distorted, as though it had been dragged through water. Lars frowned, trying again. This time, the answer was closer, too close, as if someone just beyond the walls had repeated him. Anong grabbed his arm. Her voice trembled. "I told you to stop." He tried to smile, to make light of it. But then a single, long whistle rose from the direction of the ruined prang. It was low, unbroken, and seemed to circle the courtyard. Lars felt the hairs on his arm stand straight. The ruin was empty. He knew it was, but the sound felt deliberate, alive. He looked at Anong and saw terror in her eyes, a terror that no joke could dismiss. She pulled him quickly toward the street, her grip tight, refusing to linger. In the days that followed, Lars found the experience harder to shake than he expected. At first, It was just a sense of unease when night fell. But soon, stranger things began to happen. He would catch movement at the edge of his vision, slender figures slipping behind walls, vanishing when he turned his head. At night, lying in the dark, he sometimes heard short bursts of whistling, as if someone were standing just outside the room, waiting for him to answer. Anong noticed his restlessness. She asked him to talk, but each time he brushed it off, saying it was stress or imagination, or perhaps just too much late-night coffee. Finally, after a week of disturbed nights, they argued. She accused him of mocking what he didn't understand. He shot back that it was nothing but old superstition. Yet even as the words left his mouth, his eyes darted to the shadowy corner of the room. Certain something had shifted there. Exasperated, Anong insisted they visit a local auntie, who was known in the community as someone who could cleanse away unwanted presences. Lars resisted, embarrassed by the very idea. But Anong's persistence finally wore him down. When they arrived at the auntie's wooden house by the river, the older woman studied Lars quietly, as though seeing something behind him. Without asking many questions, she prepared a simple ritual. She lit incense, murmured prayers, and sprinkled blessed water across his forehead and hands, as well as rubbing a raw egg in certain spots in his chest and head. Lars felt foolish at first, until the moment the chanting rose and the air seemed to shift, heavy and electric, as if something unseen was being pushed away. His chest, tight for days, loosened suddenly. That night, for the first time in over a week, he slept deeply. No whistles, no flickering shadows. When he woke, the sun was streaming in through the curtains, and the unease that had been clinging to him was gone. Lars never spoke of it openly. He would still joke with friends back home, still call himself a skeptic. But when Anong teased him about whistling at night, he only shook his head. Serious now, and said quietly, "Once was enough." Thailand is full of these stories, and they aren't limited to the countryside or remote ancient places. Even in modern cities, people still lower their voices when talking about the danger of whistling after dark. In Chiang Mai, the old city is surrounded by crumbling brick walls and a moat that glimmers under streetlights. Tourists fill the streets during the day, but late at night, the alleys grow strangely empty. Lanterns sway in the breeze, and the shadows seem longer, stretching across the narrow lanes. One night, a university student named Niran was walking back from the Tha Phi gate after meeting some friends. The streets were quiet now, the food stalls closed, the last motorbike taxis already gone. His path wound through a side alley lined with old teak houses, their windows shuttered tight against the night. To keep himself company, Naran began to whistle. It was a playful tune, something he'd picked up from a street performer near the night bazaar. The notes bounced against the brick walls, sharp and clear. For a moment, it was comforting, something lively in the silence. Then he heard it. From somewhere behind him, faint but unmistakable, came the same whistle. At first he thought it must be a passerby, someone hidden in the shadows. He glanced back, but the alley was deserted. He tried again, 3 short notes this time. The reply came back slower, dragged out, as if the sound had been stretched thin. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. He told himself it must be an echo, a trick of the walls. To prove it, he whistled again, quick, sharp notes that no echo could reproduce perfectly. The answer returned, precise, deliberate, and with an extra note at the end, one that didn't belong. Niran's chest tightened. He stopped walking, his ears straining. The air felt heavy, pressing in around him. Then, from the darkness just ahead, a single long whistle slid through the alley, low and slow, as if someone, or something, was waiting for him to continue. A chill spread across his skin. He didn't dare look behind him again. He bolted down the lane, running until the familiar glow of a 7-Eleven sign broke the darkness. Breathless, he ducked inside, pretending to shop until his heartbeat slowed. Later, when he told his friends what had happened, they laughed nervously and brushed it off. But one of them, a Chiang Mai local, grew serious. He said quietly, "They say in the old city, the spirits don't like to be mocked. Whistle at night, and they'll follow your sound." The sound of whistling cuts through the silence, and in that silence, things listen. In Thailand, silence itself carries weight. It is not emptiness, it is respect, discipline, and even survival. Thai people are soft-spoken and composed. This is not simply personality, but culture shaped by centuries of belief. From Buddhism comes the value of restraint, mastering one's anger, one's voice, one's impulses. But even before Buddhism, the ancient folk traditions of Southeast Asia taught that the unseen world surrounds us, listening. Too much noise, too much disruption was a way of disrespecting the spirits who dwell nearby. This quiet composure extends into everyday life. In Bangkok, even when traffic locks the streets for hours, you rarely hear car horns. To shout and honk disrupt the balance. It draws attention. And in Thai culture, unwanted attention is dangerous or not well seen. Perhaps that is why the belief about whistling at night endures. It is more than a superstition. It mirrors how the Thais see the world themselves. Silence belongs to the night, to the land, to the spirits who walk where the living should not. A whistle, sharp and careless, shatters it, and once it's broken, it feels like an invitation, one you may not want to send. Thanks so much for sticking around and listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling tales from across Asia. And as always, wherever you are, stay safe, stay curious.